Alright, now it's time to finally head down to the second basement of Victory Road, which is the lowest level. And to continue what I was talking about in the last video, personally, I wouldn't really mind the whole reboot thing if it didn't mean that we'd have a short-ass issue deck. So that's why I'm not down with it. I don't disagree with it because we're axing all the previous Pokemon. It's just that we're going to seriously lack variety in terms of Pokemon until the post-game, as much as we did in Diamond and Pearl, and I'm not really cool with that. But what really gets me about this whole story is Masuda's explanation for the reboot. He could have said, just because we can, and I would have accepted it. But the reason he gave was that he wanted pro players and newer ones to be more on the same level by introducing all new Pokemon all throughout the game instead of having some new ones and some old ones. But that is clearly not going to happen, because a way to even the playing field is by not changing the Pokemon in terms of what's in the regional decks. It's changing the game mechanics themselves. So, right now, what's going to happen is that the novice players, or just plain bad ones, are going to keep having their fire starter with 4 fire moves, except instead of doing it with a Charizard or an Infernape, they're going to be doing it with a Pokaboo instead. And I'm changing leads again because Blaziken can reach level 57 as well, and I'm approaching a watery area, so of course Regice is going to come in handy with Thunderbolt, and of course there are the cave dwellers that tend to be weak to Ice Beam, such as our old friend Golbat here. So to return to what I was saying, bad players will keep being bad, while good players won't suddenly lose their grasp on what kind of moves are good and what kind of moves aren't good, what's a good stat spread for a certain typing, what's a good typing, what's a bad typing. It's not like we're going to be losing a grasp on that anytime soon, and TM29, I have no plans on using this one since my Psychic user already learned it naturally. And this trainer here, I believe, is not talking about me, but about Wally, which sort of made sense in Ruby and Sapphire since he actually went through Victory Road, but here he met me at the entrance and got trounced right off the bat. So how would this guy know that Wally's here if he fought one battle, lost, and then went home? Ha! Now this is the perfect opportunity to do something I wanted to do for a long time.
I was frozen today!
Yeah, of course, this line wasn't in the game, and oh yeah, full restore. Annihilate my Regice's 15 seconds of glory, will ya? Well, of course, I was about to say this line wasn't actually in the video. I'm going to add it in the editing, but yeah, the important thing is that you hear it while it happens. Oh, and well, he just sent out a Graveler straight into my Ice Beam. Bravo! Bravo! So to come back to Masuda's blog entry, the reason that he wanted to level the playing field, I think we can all agree, is bullshit. However, there's another reason that he said, and that I can sort of get behind, and that's that he wants to kind of recreate the same feel of Pokemon Red and Blue back when the game was completely new. Of course, you can't do that. You simply can't say it's going to be like Red and Blue because all the Pokemon are new. Because the mechanics are the same we've known for the last 14 years. So, yeah, this doesn't add up, but I can sort of see where he's going because, after all, we're going to be discovering all those new Pokemon at the same time, and, well, I think if I ramble on anymore, I'm going to stop making sense, so I'm going to stop here before I do. Oh, and this is the line that suggests that he's talking about Wally because he's from Petalburg, and well, actually, do we know where Brandon comes from? I mean, we started the game in the back of a moving truck, so we know he's not from Little Root. and my father is gym leader in Petalburg, but did we move in from Petalburg? Somehow I doubt it. I think I remember hearing that Norman brought his family over from Johto. But then again, this may just be my memory playing tricks on me. Oh, and food for thought. I'm surfing on my Milotic, but it's Tentacool that's hoisting me up the waterfall. So how does it work? Do I send out Tentacool and it hoists both me and my Milotic up the waterfall or something? I'm not sure I really want to know, because imagine if I was surfing on a Wailord and I asked the Tentacool to do this. Yeah, then again, earthly physics need not apply when talking about Pokemon. Anyway, moving on from that whole Masuda thing, Victini is going to be Psychic Fire. That's a brand new typing, one that I feel should have been done long ago for some reason. But yeah, the fact that it's a fire type means that it should be better off with an offensive stat spread. But since it's very likely to follow in the footsteps of Mew, Celebi, Jirachi, Manaphy, and Shaymin, it's probably going to be 100 across the board, which isn't bad, but it's not exactly the best spread for a fire type. Of course, how useful it will be will mostly depend on both the move pool and what Victory Star, the ability, does. And we still don't know what it does, so we're still completely in the dark. With that being said, can it be Uber? Well, if it's as much of a difference maker as Serene Grace for Sky Shaymin and Hydration for Manaphy were, then maybe. But then again, the fact that the fire type just isn't that good defensively means it's got a slightly steeper hill to climb. But I wouldn't exclude anything. And we also got some Swan thing. Maybe it could be the equivalent of Pelipper in that either it or a potential pre-evolution could be a common sight while surfing, since, well, they're starting from scratch, so all the old Pokemon, the old standards like Zubat and Geodude and stuff like that would need new equivalents. Of course, thankfully, speaking of equivalents, it's a good thing that they are trying to still remain somewhat creative with their stuff, because we don't really want the same thing that happened with the likes of, you know, for example, Krabby versus Corphish to happen. The two looked a bit too much alike, and they did both pretty much the same thing, so didn't go over well. Same thing for Wurmple versus Caterpie and Weedle. Butterfree and Beedrill are pretty much superior in every way to Beautifly and Dustox, and the fact that they went out of their way to create Pokemon that were a little too similar to Caterpie and Weedle, well, didn't go over well either. Whereas Zubat versus Koromori, well, they're both bats, but the comparison stops there. Their typings are different, their appearances are vastly different as well, and it seems like Koromori will have quite a lot of HP compared to Zubat. I'm basing myself on a screenshot that we've seen with Koromori alongside, I think it was Tsutaja in a double battle, and Koromori had a lot more HP than Tsutaja, so that's what I'm basing myself on. Well, that's going to be it for today, and I think this is going to be the last Pokemon video I post before the Korokoro leak, which should be either on Friday or this weekend. I don't really know when it happens. It varies. But I think there might be some Donkey Kong in the meantime to tidy over. So otherwise, I will be seeing you next week for the end of Victory Road.